You know, there's something absolutely fascinating about the way our culture treats solitude. We've been conditioned, from the moment we can understand language, to believe that being alone is somehow a problem that needs to be solved. It's treated almost like a disease, a condition to be cured. And I want to suggest to you today that this is one of the most pernicious lies that society perpetuates, because the fear of being alone keeps people enslaved in ways they don't even begin to recognize. Let me start by asking you a simple question. Why is it that when you see someone eating alone in a restaurant, there's this immediate assumption that something must be wrong? Or when someone chooses to live without a partner, society immediately begins to worry about them, to pity them, to suggest that they must be lonely, must be missing out on something essential. What is this extraordinary prejudice against solitude? The answer, I think, is quite simple and quite disturbing. Society doesn't want you to be comfortable alone, because a person who is genuinely at peace with solitude is a person who cannot be controlled. Let me explain what I mean by this. You see, the entire structure of our civilization is built on making people dependent on external sources for their sense of well-being. The economy needs you to believe that happiness comes from purchasing things. The entertainment industry needs you to believe that fulfillment comes from constant stimulation. The institution of conventional relationships needs you to believe that you are incomplete without another person. And all of these systems fall apart the moment you discover that you are fundamentally complete as you are. A person who is comfortable being alone is a person who doesn't need to buy things to fill an inner void. They don't need constant entertainment to avoid facing themselves. They don't need to desperately cling to relationships out of fear of being by themselves. In other words, they are useless to a consumer society. They cannot be manipulated through their loneliness, their boredom, their sense of inadequacy. And this is why, from the earliest age, we are taught to fear solitude. Children are constantly encouraged to play with others, to socialize, to be part of groups. And while there's nothing wrong with social interaction in itself, what's interesting is that we never give equal emphasis to teaching children how to be content in their own company. A child who prefers to play alone is often viewed with concern. Parents worry, is something wrong? Why isn't my child more social? As if the capacity for solitude were a defect rather than a skill. Now, I'm not suggesting that human beings should become hermits, or that social connection isn't valuable. That would be absurd. We are, after all, social creatures in many respects. But what I am suggesting is that there's a profound difference between choosing to be with others from a place of wholeness and clinging